Well, we have more from the FBI and Dan Bongino. He said, I've received briefings on a few cases every week, and we're making progress. And he said, if anybody has a tip on any of these, please contact the FBI. He said that he and Kash Patel are looking to reopen or push additional resources and investigative attention to the, you ready? The leak of the draft by the Supreme Court opinion overturning Roe versus Wade. I'm telling you now, people in very well-placed positions know who that leaker is, but also the discovery of cocaine in the West Wing in the White House, and the planting of the pipe bombs outside the Democratic and Republican National Committee. He says, I have requested briefings weekly. I get them. We're making progress. I talked to him late last week. And I think we're going to see some arrest on some of these big things. I told you last week I was hoping we would see some people in handcuffs over COVID. I hope that happens this week or next, but we'll see. The cocaine that was in the White House, come on, really? We should probably know who that was. And I don't think it was Hunter Biden, believe it or not. We should know who that was. They stopped the investigation after 11 days of investigating because they knew. They've added some resources to that. Do you know that? You know how many people did they have on the pipe bomb thing, Stu?
How many people?
How many FBI agents did they have investigating the pipe bombs?
I don't know. Not enough.
Take a guess. I mean, it's a pretty big. Yeah, take a guess.
I mean, what it should be is probably 40. I don't know. A lot of agents.
One.
Okay.
They had one. Of course, they didn't find anything. They had one guy on it. They don't have one guy on that now. They have more people on that, and they've re-upped the $500,000 reward for anyone who can identify him or her, whoever had that. We need to rebuild our manufacturing base. And American Giant started doing that 14 years ago. They make clothing here at home with American cotton, American hands, and American heart. It's quality you can feel. Go to american-giant.com/Glenn. Get 20% off your first purchase. That's american-giant.com/Glenn. So I think that's some good progress. And the FBI did make some arrests this weekend. Colorado man who's made some really, really heinous threats to Donald Trump. He's 28 years old. He lives in Colorado. He threatened to assassinate President Trump. He said, we are going to kill blah, blah, blah. Right now, we will hunt you down and kill you both at the White House, and death to Trump. Then he wrote on Facebook, to the United States Department of Justice, the former president has several hours to resign or certain death. Now, you would think that, he would have been picked up right away, but the FBI was on it, and they've picked him up. He apparently, according to the complaint, he traveled to an embassy branch on May 19th carrying a backpack containing 3 Molotov cocktails. He approached the embassy office, this is the Israeli embassy, spat on the guard and said, F you. And then he was going to throw Molotov cocktails, but the guard wrestled him to the ground. One bottle spilled out and was left there. He got away with his backpack and 2 other bottles. But they have now identified him and arrested him. May we never hear his name. Oh, I didn't give it. Well, maybe never hear it again anyway.
It's amazing how we went through all that time where they could ban you for every kind of off-color joke you'd make on social media almost instantly. And yet these threats can be out there against the president of the United States, and nothing seems to happen for long periods of time. Some of these people wind up doing it, and we don't find out until much, much later that they even had the posts up at all. They're not brought into custody because they made the threat. They're brought into custody 6 months after they made the threat, when they actually attempt the threat themselves. Fascinating.
It's really incredible. The New York Times on Friday, in case you missed this, on Friday, the New York Times admitted that Donald Trump holds the levers of power in his battle at Harvard University. The Times said Harvard has no way out of this. This is going to cripple them. He's come after them for their anti-Semitism and said, no, you know what? We're not giving you any federal money. You get rid of the DEI thing, you get anti-Semitism under control, and then we can talk about it. Instead, they doubled down on their DEI. And so he said, fine, you can't enroll international students anymore, and I'm taking away all your funding. Now, the judge blocked the banning of the international students for a little while. I think that was just temporarily blocked. But he's got massive federal funding that he's withholding. Now, he says he's going to give it to the trade schools, which I would be all for. But unfortunately, it was earmarked for science and medicine. So he can't just give that to the welding school. But he can definitely hold it back. And I'm fine with that. You fine with that, Stu? I'm good.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, it's got to be done the right way. It seems like he is doing it the right way. And also, I just don't even understand why this is going to crush Harvard. They've got billions and billions of dollars. What do you mean?
Well,
what does that mean that they need federal funding? They shouldn't need federal funding, certainly.
No.
But I mean, I keep hearing this claim. I know part of it is because some of the endowment is specifically targeted to certain things, so they can't just use it for general purposes. What else is the cause of that, Glenn?
Trump is talking about taxing the endowment now. So if he taxes the endowment, there's a huge number that goes to the federal government, and I say amen to that. I think they should just be taxed as general. Just in general, you make this money, you're taxed. Why are we making you tax-free? That makes no sense whatsoever.
I agree with that.
But what they're really concerned about is are you going to go to Harvard if you're seeing Harvard in a war with the White House and the funding for the research you want to do is off again, on again? Why don't I just go to Yale? Why don't I go to Stanford? Why don't I go to someplace else that's doing that kind of research? I'm not going to Yale. And so they're thinking that not only is this going to hurt immediately, but it's also going to hurt all the people that would want to go to Harvard. They'll be like, I don't want any of that in my life. I just want to do the work. Want to do the work.
This is why it's pathetic. Like, they should just say, well, we don't want any dollars from the federal government then. Like, that's what they should do. And they won't. They won't. I mean, Hillsdale somehow pulls it off. Right? There are lots of universities and colleges that do this because of a principled stand they've made. If you're worried about government influence, you should listen to conservatives who have been telling you forever, then don't deal with government influence. Do it on your own. But it's inexplicable that they just wouldn't do that if they wanted to take this supposedly brave stand. Stop depending on the government then.
I was talking to somebody about a project I'm working on. They said, the government offers grants for that. And I just laughed. I said, do you know who I am? Taking government grant? No, I don't want the government in any part. I would rather starve than have a government grant involved in anything that I do. No, thank you. No, thank you.
You're like not like other celebrities. Most people say, do you know who I am? Trying to get a table at a restaurant. You just say, do you know who I am? When you realize that there's no chance you're going to get any benefit from the government or the media. It's to show how pathetic you are, not how important you are.
It's crazy. It is really, really crazy. Let's see. Did you see the latest on, from the book? You're reading Jake Tapper's book, aren't you?
Yeah, I finished it actually over the weekend.
And did you get to the part that they were talking about this weekend where they were saying that it's, that they were willing to do very undemocratic things? Just let's get him let's get him reelected. And then, they actually called it a Politburo.
Yeah. Yep, they internally.
Do you know what a Politburo? Explain what a Politburo is, if you can. Do you know what one is?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's you think of the Soviet Union, right? Like this band.
It's the group, a group of elites at the very top of the party that make all the decisions. That's what they were calling themselves internally.
This is one of the things why I think, because of the conversation around Jake Tapper, which has obviously been more about hey, this guy shouldn't written this book. He didn't do the coverage right at the time and all that stuff, which is important to talk about. But like, I think conservatives have missed out on a book they'd actually probably really like. It's basically 90% of this book is just bashing Joe Biden and showing all sorts of conspiracies around him to hide this from the American people. There's a lot of stuff in there that's really important and is absolutely a foundation for an investigation by Congress into what occurred here. So like,
are we going to do anything about it? See, that's why I don't want to read it, because I don't want to get all juiced up on it, because I already am. I know enough. I don't want to get all juiced up on it and then nothing happens.
Well,
I mean these people should go to jail. They should go to jail.
I mean, look, if they want to do this investigation, there's no reason they couldn't do it. At least start it right now. Now, if you lose the House, it becomes more difficult, of course. But you could absolutely do this investigation. And like, and it's, a lot of people were talking about the book as if it's like, oh, well, we already knew this. Like, conservatives were already saying this stuff. And of course, conservatives were saying this. Of course we were. We were saying this, but we were not. We did not have quotes from the people who were actually doing it. We didn't. We saw what we saw publicly, which was really important. We all speculated on, like, for example, during the assassination attempt, while this was going on, what did we all speculate on? Like, they don't care about this at all. They actually, in reality, they probably are only angry about this assassination attempt because it
didn't work out.
Because it could work for Donald Trump, right? It could be a benefit politically for Donald Trump. They have aides, close aides to Biden, giving that exact quote in this book. That the only reason they were upset about, I mean, I can't remember the exact phrasing of the quote, but they were upset about it because they were worried it would benefit Donald Trump politically. Like, some of the stuff that we said is confirmed in here. Some of it is like additional to what a conservative would feel. It's weird because I think we're so obsessed with the author of this book for some reason that we're not actually looking at this and taking what I think is something we don't normally see. This is the stuff that we beg for as conservatives, that mainstream journalists would actually do this. Do we like the timing? No. Although it is worth noting that Alex Thompson is the co-author of the book and was reporting a lot of this stuff at the time. He was one of the few people who were doing it. But still, like, I just don't think that that's the main story out of this book. This should lead to investigations, and I hope it does.
Yeah, it's not the main story. And I think there are some that just don't want to give, Jake Tapper a dime.
And that's fair.
I'm one of them on that. If you could download it for free, I probably would be more likely to read it.
Well, let me quickly, Glenn, on that note. You can, if you happen to be a Spotify subscriber, it's part of their subscription program. They do audiobooks on there, so you can do an audiobook of it.
To it tonight.
Yeah, and it'll cost you $0 extra. Yeah.
The other thing that, like I said, I don't think it's all entirely about Jake Tapper. I really don't. I think some people feel that way. But I also think that I think we've lost so much faith in the system. We just don't think anything's going to happen.
Yeah.
So why? Mm-hmm. Why? Oh, okay. Wow, they did that too. Yeah. Well, we've been watching the things they've been doing and getting away with for a very long time. Write a book when you have one of them actually go to trial and then to prison. That's a book I'll read. Okay. The rest of it, I've heard it all before. This and worse. So write a book when they actually go to jail.